for so long. We've been waiting for this time to begin. We ain't getting any older. I kinda feel a little younger. Going up, going up.
This is Mike with Cornerstone Academy, and I'm here to show all parents how RWI Phonics from Oxford is one of the best programs for a child's learning of phonics through reading, through listening, and through several exercises that they can do at home by themselves even after class. How easy is it for a child to blend? Blending is used with their fingers. And when they do that, they know that each letter needs to be blended with their fingers so they can write it on the paper. And then when they're reading books that they don't understand, it's very easy for them to simply say s, a, t, so that they can do the sounds by themselves. Fred the Frog is a reminder to children that they must use pure blending. They cannot do ABCs. They cannot say A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They have to say A, B, C, D, E, F. And they have to say the word very clearly. They can't say ma. They can't say ga. They have to say or g. And it's important for a teacher in the class to make sure the children are following the very careful rules of repeating the sounds and practicing every time with their classmates and also at home with their parents and siblings. And with Fred, it's an easy reminder to children to use fingers to blend all the sounds for words like o, a, n, ch, p, o, a, k, o, t. Children have 42 pure unique sounds to learn in class. Each time before we start a new lesson, we go over all the sounds in this chart so that they can have practice before class, during class, and even after class. To reinforce these sounds is a very important part of their learning development. If they don't practice, they won't learn. When children see the sounds below the sounds that they know, they see F here, but they see the two Fs here, they also know that it makes the same sound. This chart is a very important one for practice every day. When children are introduced to new sounds, we will have pictures to help them, but also some stories to help them remember which direction the sounds go when they are doing it. So for example, this practice here shows them with the arrow right here which way to go. We don't start here, we don't start there or there. We start right here where they show the arrow is, and we do plenty of practice in class. For our two-lettered sounds, children will have the opportunity to identify pictures that they know and are familiar with, such as shell and sheep and shoe and shop. But what we do is we remind the children that there's a story like about the snake and about the horse. If the horse is trying to sleep and the snake is too loud, the horse simply says, shh. When we do more difficult two-lettered sounds, children will remember that there are many words that end in ng, and it doesn't sound like nga, but like Handwriting practice is so important. If it is enforced every day, children will have an opportunity to remember with the stories and the pictures that they had in class. And even young children can learn at a very early age to start reading through phonemic exercises. The basic sound chart will help them remember. In class, we will blend words so that children can do the sounds first and then the word. Pa, I, n, pin, ya, s, yes, n, t, not, and so on and so forth. Partner work is very important for children. We say my turn, your turn, so that they can understand how a teacher will say it and how their classmates will say it. Even encourage children to correct their classmate if maybe they pronounce the word incorrectly. These storybooks are short and have words that children are very familiar with at a very young age. After a child has read a story, they will read sentences and remember without looking back at the storybook and write down using the blending exercises that they did in class. By having pictures here, children will look and decide which word they're going to put here if they forget from the book. Now, for those older children that are getting more fluent from doing more reading at home and understanding basic sounds, we will introduce new storybooks that focus on one sound. In this case, the Orange Level book, which is for children between 6 to 7.5 years old, they will focus on the sound A. The charts add more sounds that children have not seen yet, that they can learn through the teacher with exercises, but also in the storybooks. Children will have an opportunity in class to work together so that they can say the sounds together. A, at, hen, head, in, on, up, a, day, easy, happy, high, blow. Zoo, look, car, or for, or door, or snore, air, fair, whirl, ow, shout, oi, boy. Now that children have had practice with their blending, they're going to be able to blend words that have more complicated sounds that they haven't learned as often before. After they do that, they're going to start seeing ing, and they're going to start seeing red words. What red words are words that children cannot use fingers to blend with. They cannot say wa, at, wat. They just have to say what, they, do, said, you, to, the. Children will see that the red words in the book are a reminder not to use red fingers to blend. At the end of the class, the teacher will ask questions to test the children to see if they were listening carefully. Listening comprehension is a building bridge for children to have a better advantage in their classroom when teachers are having a lot of information for them to learn, so that children can have an easier time remembering what to do from class and also work at home independently. Speed words are an opportunity for children to say the word without having to blend. When they do this quickly, the teacher gets a very good idea of how their pronunciation has improved. All the RWI storybooks come with workbooks so that children can be able to do exercises not only in class, but at home. After reading the book, the teacher will do dictation with the children so that we can see how they are doing with their blending independently. Grammar is also enforced in the class using simple punctuations, capital letters, full stops, and even commas and speech marks. We also want children to be able to see errors when they recognize them in sentences. Children also have an opportunity to go from writing shorter sentences to bigger sentences because they're telling long stories, so why not put those stories from their minds and their hearts onto the paper? RWI is a program that goes over several years from the age of 3.5 up until 10 years old. This is the gray book level, and gray book usually starts at around 8.5 or 9 years old and takes several months to complete. There are more sounds on the sound chart, as you can see, and the words become increasingly difficult and more complex so that children can be very confident when they read higher level books and be able to blend by themselves or look at sight words to be able to read them with perfect fluency. Vocabulary is an important building block for young children. When they see words that are used in various contexts, they will be able to use them so freely and with a natural ability that they will have no problem expressing themselves when it comes to writing enhancement. The older children will also be challenged by having questions asked to test their reading and listening comprehension. Each level in the entire program has anywhere from 10 to 13 books, and each book will focus on a particular sound, but also on certain words and red words. Each level has a series of anywhere from 10 to 13 books, and each book focuses on a certain sound certain type of grammatical use, and even a certain way of expressing and writing certain sentences. The grade level book also has more prompts, and there's a lot of complexity here. The hold a sentence activity is an exercise that requires children to listen very carefully. Once a teacher says it once, we want children to write it down without having to ask for it to be repeated. Building a sentence is an exercise that is very good for children because when they are introduced to new words, we want them to be able to use it in various types of context. It could be at school or home or at work or play, vacation, anywhere else, so that they can know how to use it and be more expressive instead of using just the same old boring words all the time. The writing frame activity here for children is something that can really help them ask many questions. Writing very simple stories can turn into writing greater stories by asking more questions about what we see, about what we hear, what we taste, what we smell, and what we desire in our lives. Remembering to correctly spell red words can be something that children will learn at a very early age. As they get older, they're going to be introduced to more difficult sight words, sometimes words that are commonly misspelled, and it'll be important for them to have exercises and plenty of homework in order for them to continue to remember those spelling words. Connecting words or transition words are also super important for children. We want them to not just say the basic things like next and then and second and third, but using these will help them be more expressive. With the RWI program, children will be encouraged to start learning even on their own, starting to read more books because they're learning new sounds, and even gain confidence through everyday activities because they're using English more often, whether at school or even at home.